Good morning. Today is May 10th. So, I want to take you back to January, which is when all of this really started for me. Um, first, I want to set the scene. January 12th, around January 12th, the beginning of that week, let's say Sunday, Monday, um, I started not feeling well and I didn't have an appetite. So, I wasn't eating. On January 14th, I'm still not eating, but I wrote a prayer, and this is the prayer that changed everything. In this prayer, I got really transparent with God, and I told him how I really felt. And one of the first things I told him was the one of the reasons I struggled coming to him on a consistent basis is that I just didn't look forward to it. Um, I didn't look forward to talking to him because I didn't understand how he communicated and I didn't understand the Bible. So it was just very discouraging to read a book that I didn't understand and pray to someone who I didn't understand how they communicated. Um, and I'm going through the prayer now so I can tell you everything I said. But yeah, I just let him know I didn't like it. But at the same time, I knew I couldn't change him. But I told him, I know you can change me and that I'm ready for change. Another thing I told him was that I wanted purpose. I craved purpose. And I didn't I didn't know I was supposed to go to God to get my purpose. Everybody that I always saw around, talk about look at your natural born talents and, look at what you're good at, look at what you're passionate about. And my mind just drew a complete blank when it came to all of that. So I prayed to God for purpose and I told him whatever he wanted me to do, I would do it as long as he equipped me. And then I just started listing other things that I needed: rest, peace of mind, love, patience, provision. But ultimately, what I needed was Him. So that's the gist of the prayer. It was a lot more than that, but that's the gist of what I asked for. That was on January 14th. On January 16th, I took a flight home. So I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama, but I live in South Georgia. So the nearest airport is Jacksonville, Florida. So I took a flight from Jacksonville to home to Birmingham because I was supposed to help my mom finish packing, and because my sister and I were moving her down here to be closer to us. So I went home on the 16th, which was I don't know, maybe it was a Thursday. But I was supposed to help my mom finish packing, and we had hired movers to pack her U-Haul truck. And that Sunday, I was supposed to drive her U-Haul back to Georgia and pull her car behind me on a car transport. So none of that happened because God had other plans. So when God has plans for you, it looks crazy when you're in it, but He aligns everything perfectly. It's just, I'll finish telling the story. So I get home to Birmingham on the 16th. Um, but I still don't feel well. I'm still not eating. I had to run a few errands with my mom when I got there, but for the most part, I felt too bad to really be of much help. So, um, the next night, which was when I was supposed to start helping her finish, she didn't have much left, but I was supposed to start helping her finish packing, but I just started feeling worse. So, it wasn't my stomach, it was mostly my head, but I don't know. I didn't know what was going on. I just know I didn't feel well. So that night I took um maybe some Tylenol or ibuprofen to see if it would help my head. But within 10 minutes of taking this medication, I threw up. So I'm telling this story all types of wrong, but it's okay. I have a friend that my best friend that we've been friends since high school, so over 20 years at this point. And normally when I go home to Birmingham, I try to see him. But the last time I had talked to him was in September. And when I talked to him in September, he had got a new job in St. Louis, Missouri. So I hadn't talked to him since September. So the last thing I knew is he was in St. Louis, Missouri. So me going home, seeing him never crossed my mind because I'm like, he's nowhere near here. But come to find out, in the midst of my not feeling well, he messages me, he texts me, and he's in Birmingham, and I had no idea. Like, he never told me because we hadn't talked. And I mean, we don't talk every day. We talk, but it's not very frequent. But so he's in Birmingham. So this is like 1 a.m. when I started throwing up. So I sent him a text message and I asked him, I was like, will you please come take me to the hospital? Because I didn't feel well enough to drive. So, and the terrible part was I was supposed to take my mom to the airport that morning so she could catch a flight down here, because she wasn't driving down here. She was going to fly down here, and I was driving her U-Haul back. So I couldn't do that. She had to get somebody else to take her to the airport, because once I got to the hospital, they admitted me because of my blood sugar. And my blood sugar wasn't outrageous. It was 2 something, but that wasn't my first time being hospitalized with DK. I was hospitalized before, like back in November of 2023. And the circumstances, the symptoms was completely different, which is why this situation caught me off guard. But this is God orchestrating this, so hear me out. So I go to the hospital on the 18th, like 1 a.m. And I'm in there for 3 days. My best friend comes to see me a couple times, but he is who picked me up from the hospital. Now, mind you, I didn't know until I basically got sick that he was in Birmingham. But God lined everything up for me perfectly. So I get out of the hospital on the 18th, and I don't have anywhere to go because my mom has moved out of this apartment because she's moving. The movers have came. Her friend helped supervise the packing of the U-Haul truck and drove the truck to her house and kept it there while I was in the hospital. So I can't go back to my mom's apartment. So my option is, my best friend, of course, offered for me to come stay with him at his apartment. So that's what I did. And I didn't know this was going to turn into me staying. What was supposed to be me at home for 3 days ended up me being at home for like 10 days. And so I went to stay with my best friend, and he took care of me while I was recovering because my energy was just non-existent. I was sleeping most of the time, and like I would get bursts of energy, but it only lasted maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And after that, I was out. I couldn't talk. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. And I was cycling through that for a few days. So mind you, in my prayer, I asked God for provision. So my friend had quit his job in Missouri. That's why he was back at home, but I didn't know any of this. But he was working here. So what he did was took me to work with him. He just asked me, like, you want to go? He's like, I know you don't want to sit up in this apartment by yourself all day. So all I had to do was ride in his car. It was fine. So that's what I did. And what he showed me opened up the door to the provision that I had prayed for. But I didn't know that at the time. And if I had not have gotten sick when I did, I would not have known that he was at home. I never would have stayed with him, and I never would have saw this entire experience. Never would have taken place had I not gotten sick. And The reason I say this was orchestrated, I mean, not just say, I know it was orchestrated by God, because first of all, that wasn't my first time being hospitalized with DK, and the symptoms were completely different, which is why when they told me that's what it was, it completely caught me off guard. And number two, the fasting, for me to have a blood sugar that high and I'm not eating at all. I hadn't eaten in like 4 or 5 days. And my blood sugar, I think it was 216. And the first time I was in the hospital with DK, my blood sugar was in the 400s. So it wasn't making sense to me. And I just came off a 3-day fast, and my blood sugar when I came off the fast was like right at 100. So there was no consistency with it. So I know it was all God's doing. But when I'm gonna do February's video, and it's gonna be a continuation of this one, so you can see how everything just lined up for my greatest good.